All right, good evening, everyone. It is 6 o'clock, and I'll call the third regular Common Council meeting to order. Will the clerk state the quote of the evening?
Be the energy you want to attract.
Thank you. Will the clerk call the roll?
Alderperson Bellinger.
Here.
Decker.
Here.
Feldy.
Excused?
Heidemann. Lefebvre.
Here.
Mitchell.
Here.
Perella.
Here.
Peterson.
Here.
Ramey.
Here.
Rust.
Present.
There are 9 present.
All right, if folks could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Alder Decker, what's your motion on the minutes?
I move to approve the minutes from the first and second regular council meetings held on April 16th and April 22nd respectively.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor of approving the minutes, state aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Minutes are approved. Next, confirmation of appointments. City Attorney.
There are 2 appointments submitted by the mayor for your confirmation. Ann Steenwijk to be considered for appointment to the Police and Fire Commission, and Tomomi Kanemaru to be considered for appointment to the Mayor's International Committee.
Thank you. Alder Decker.
I move to confirm.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All right, this will be a roll call vote.
There are 9 ayes.
All right, that's approved. Anyone for public forum tonight?
There is no one this evening.
All right, next we'll quick jump into mayoral announcements. All right, and if I could have my friends from the Tavern League come on down. All right, so we're going to start off the meeting tonight with a few proclamations here. So whereas the Tavern League of Wisconsin recognizes this month, May, as National Tavern Month, and obviously as Sheboyganites and Wisconsinites, we know that we have a lot of tavern and bars throughout our community that support local businesses and employ hundreds of people and provide recreation as well as some fun opportunities for folks to celebrate camaraderie with their neighbors and fellow Sheboyganites. Whereas local taverns, bars, and restaurants have long served as gathering places for celebration and companionship throughout Sheboygan, and whereas the tavern industry plays a vital role in the economy and tourism of Sheboygan throughout our community, and whereas the city of Sheboygan enthusiastically supports all of our local businesses throughout our community, and now I, Ryan Sorensen, by the virtue vested in me as the mayor of the city of Sheboygan, do hereby designate May 2024 as Tavern Month. So we have some of the leaders from the local Tavern League here who we have several proclamations for. So Dayton, Ron, there you go. One for everybody.
Terrific.
And we're going to do a quick picture with Marie here.
Okay.
There you go. Do a quick picture.
Sure. Good. Stuck in.
Thanks, Marie. Thank you. All right, Ron, Dayton, you guys
thank
have
you.
anything?
We really do appreciate the proclamation in honoring the taverns and restaurant business here literally in the city. Sometimes, you know, we looked on as small businesses, mention how many there are. And that sometimes means, oh, there's a few here or there. We're a small business, but we're united in all our efforts that we have going on within this community and within the state. As an industry, we employ over 1,000 workers, okay? And that makes us compatible to some of the big businesses that are here in our community. Mention generating income, recreational type things, tourism. We bring in over $29 million a year as a group. That's impressive. That's a lot of money coming in from the services that we provide through our industry. We have, on an annual basis, the Tavern League members, and this is not counting some of those individual ones that are not part of the Tavern League, we bring in over $500,000 contributing to charities here in our area, here in our city, okay? Fundraising for people that are in need, cancer victims without insurance, sudden deaths in a family. We're there to support them, all right? You look at the number of sports teams, youth teams that we sponsor in athletics here in the city. So there's a great deal that goes on. But just from the standpoint of looking at charities, we're also here to improve the quality of life in our community, okay? Sometimes we don't hear all the good things that happen. You hear somebody, oh, somebody got drunk and they started this or that happened. But we take stands on a lot of these things, okay? For example, we provide the Safe Ride program for our customers. If somebody is a little tipsy, we feel they're not going to be safe driving home, we provide them a ride home. We want them off the road. We want our streets safe. We support the police force with the Tavern Safety Coalition. Again, kind of helping police our own industry and our own problems. So there are things like this that, you know, you don't hear about. A new one, and this has just come up through the police department and through the sheriff's department, we are involved in training and working in workshops on human trafficking, because bars sometimes tend to, you know, gravitate people that are not as savory as they could be. But by us working together with officials in the city and the state, we try to make this a better community and do our part. But again, thank you, Mayor, for your support in us, and council members, we really do appreciate that recognition. Thank you again.
Thanks, Ron.
You bet.
All right, just a few other notes for the evening. It's that time of year where many of our neighborhood associations are kicking off their dumpster days. Our friends at the Indiana Corridor, I believe, were the first ones over the weekend as well. So if you're in a registered neighborhood association, please check out their respective pages to find out when your dumpster day is near you. They'll be rolling out here in the next few weeks here. City Hall announced the other day that City Hall will be moving into summer hours starting this month as well. So for more information regarding summer hours, please check out the city website as well. Obviously, as the weather warms up, we have a lot of road projects happening right now. We've rolled out many orange barrels happening across the city. So some ones that we teed off recently that we're starting right now are parts of South 11th Street. Taylor Drive is a big project in partnership with their friends at the DOT and the county. Lincoln Avenue on the north side. For more information about road closures and those projects, please check out the Department of Public Works webpage as well. Our Planning and Development Department will be hosting another landlord training program on May 22nd from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. So please contact Janet in the Planning Department if you're a landlord or property owner that would be interested in taking the landlord training program as well. Also, the Sustainability Task Force will be having a programming updating folks on a lot of their initiatives and projects that they are doing at the library on May 16th, starting at 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. to get feedback and interaction and engagement from the community as well. I also want to announce that the city of Sheboygan was selected out of 10 cities in a competitive process across the United States to participate in the Mayor's Institute on Pedestrian Safety. So this is a competitive program where communities across the United States partner with ARPA, Living Communities Initiative, Smart Growth America, and the mayor's innovation projects to work on pedestrian and mobility issues across the country. So I'm excited that our staff in planning and Department of Public Works will be participating in this unique opportunity as well. I also want to give a personal shout out to my assistant Veronica Valdez for being recognized as one of the top 10 Best Under 40 awards from the Young Professionals Chamber of Commerce program. So she got that recognition last week as well. So we're always excited when city staff get those recognitions in the community. So thank you so much. Those are my updates for this evening, and I'll turn it over to Casey Bradley, our city administrator, who will give his presentation for this evening. Thank you.
There we go. Thank you. All right. Good evening, everyone. Casey Bradley, City Administrator. As part of my contract, I'm required to provide a work plan. It was supposed to be within the first 90 days, but we talked with council leadership, and with council obviously turning over in April, we wanted to hold this off, so this has been delayed, so that new council would have the opportunity to review this and ultimately be able to give input into it. So just a very kind of high level overview of kind of what staff plans are, and that's derived from meeting with council members, the various plans that we already have in place, and then we also vetted this through with our department heads, seek their input. It's not all inclusive by any means, but it's just a high level of some of the priorities that we're working towards and we'll be working on for the next year, so that everyone kind of has an idea of the general background of how we're moving forward. So we have the City of Sheboygan mission statement, vision statement, and the core values. I'm not going to read through all of this because I don't want this to be a 45-minute presentation. So kind of high overview, we just talked a little bit. We have about 400 city employees, and obviously, you know, we want to work collectively to make sure we're all moving in the same direction. That's the intent of this plan, is to focus on how we're allocating resources to achieve specific outcomes. And we have leadership, obviously Common Council, the mayor, and myself, and then our organizational structure. And then obviously none of this, or a lot of our objectives could not be met without our community partners. We have a lot, and we interact with them in a variety of different ways and different projects. For the work plan priorities, we kind of focused in on 6 main areas: financial management, economic development, organizational culture, city infrastructure, community engagement, and then emergency response. So the bulk of this was kind of derived through meetings with council members, one-on-one, understanding overall priorities with council, and then obviously feedback from our department heads and feedback from engagement with various members of the community. So financial management, budget planning and management. So one of our top priorities will be implementing fiscal policies. We do have drafts of those done. We've been working on those for a while now. Standardizing practices and procedures, getting council on a more standardized budget process. I understand last year it was a little fluid as the city administrator position was vacant. So we're going to look at standardizing that process, get that schedule going in July, and get council being an active part of that through the process, and getting a finalized submitted budget for fiscal year 2025 to council well before the November deadline. Initiative 2, facilities and equipment management. We've talked several times about implementing a new capital plan. We are actively working on that. Finance, Caitlin's been working on that in conjunction with the audit. So we're just getting that wrapped up. So the the capital policy and capital plan, and ultimately new policies on how we're going to manage capital assets, will be forthcoming over the next several months. And then continued collaboration with our department heads to plan for future facility upgrades. I know that's kind of been a point of contention over the years, so we're looking at more standardized practice of how we manage capital and how we budget for it and obviously plan for funding for it. And then Initiative 3 is improving and maintaining the city's fiscal rating. We will have a bond issuance coming up. We'll be looking at this at the next meeting. And as a part of that, we're looking at actually having the rating agency come visit the community, take a site tour. So our goal there is to not only sustain, but hopefully improve the rating, which ultimately reduce the amount of costs we have associated with borrowing. Long-term financial planning for infrastructure. We're looking at doing a fiscal analysis of wastewater to not only look at the rate structure, but the viability of maintaining and adding to our existing system, making sure that we're looking at not only the current status of our system and the fiscal ability to sustain that, but looking at what does that look long-term. I know we're looking at a lot of pretty substantial projects, so we want to make sure that we have the confidence that what we're doing in our rate structure won't have a negative impact on rate users 5, 10, 15 years from now. And then partnership with city leadership to re-identify city core values and long-term goals. So we're continuing to work on that. Obviously on economic development, we've talked about it extensively, but the housing crisis that we're currently going through, that's definitely a top priority. We're hearing it from our businesses every time we meet with them. So the housing study, that is a key component of that. We're looking at the housing study being done June, July timeframe, and we should have hopefully a draft to us, I believe, by May 18th. So that is moving along very well, and hopefully get that before council, hopefully first part of June, if not the last part of June, just for preliminary input. And then identifying areas for high-density residential development, streamlining our regulatory process, promoting all housing options, and then investments in infrastructure to help promote growth. And then Initiative 2, fostering a culture of a thriving downtown, identify employer needs, match vacant land and buildings, work in close partnership with BID, Visit Sheboygan, Chamber, and other local businesses and groups to make sure that we can bring more events into the downtown. And that was one of the things we saw out of the marina feedback, was definitely getting more foot traffic into that area as well. Event space seems to be a very high demand that we're seeing, so we'll look at trying to coordinate and collaborate that into the downtown area. Identify and revitalize more public use spaces, increase foot traffic in downtown, placemaking and third space making as well. So we do have some initiatives going there already. So we've got the St. Clara Parklet we're looking at, that will bring that proposal back to council once we get that study done. And you guys, when we reallocated some ARPA funding, we also are looking at Fountain Park, so that process is underway as well. So we're well into trying to address some of these, but just formalizing them so everybody knows the direction we're working on. Strategic development planning. So internally, we're looking at, or we do currently do weekly meetings with staff. We meet every week with council leadership to make sure that we're communicating. And obviously, as plans roll out through closed sessions or with communications as the development agreements reach council, making sure that you guys are well informed and educated on what the proposals are. Open communication with businesses, looking at continuing the yearly developer summit. Last year's was very successful, and we want to keep that going. Obviously, creative zoning initiatives, working and being more flexible to work with our developers as projects come in, and tie economic development into the long-term vision for the city. We are kicking off the comp plan next week. Within the next 2 weeks, or within the next month, the comp plan that's long overdue will be started. We've got strategic planning that we'll be doing as a part of that. And then we've got our Complete Streets initiative that should be starting up later this year with that grant that we received. So a lot of different things that are coming together that will all kind of fit into this particular initiative. The next one is organizational culture. So increased communications, that's one thing we've noted is different ways to be more effective in communicating both internally and externally. So we're looking at different communication strategies. Obviously, we've got some that are very good and already in place, like the weekly council leadership meetings, meeting one-on-one with council and committee members as needed to make sure that we're keeping everyone informed. But we also want to grow that to better communications internally and externally. We're looking at website redesign, looking at more centralized hub for forms, for management, forms management, modernizing our IT systems, looking at, consolidation of services like printing. We just rolled out Office 365, so that process is still working its way through the system, but as that comes online, we'll look at more ways to reduce redundancy and excess costs in programs that are no longer needed. Looking at the number of software applications and more integrated ERP systems as we continue to go down that process of eliminating excess programs. Onboarding and training procedures. So that was one of the big initiatives we talked about as we're kind of trying to reestablish the HR department. Kelly has done a phenomenal job with her staff of kind of getting the department brought back up to where it should be. We've got a long way to go. We've got our first council member training that we'll be going through in about 2 weeks. So that was a program collectively put together. All the departments were able to give feedback on how they wanted to kind of have that first communications, get some training, get some one-on-one time with obviously the new council members and existing council members. And that will ultimately turn into a similar program for new staff, looking at onboarding them into the organization. That's something that really hasn't been done. So we're looking at an onboarding and then eventually an offboarding program to help better integrate folks into the organization from the day one, as opposed to an inconsistent program. And some of the feedback we get is missed opportunities when folks are hired. So we want to make sure we're getting that right up front. And design and implement the orientation process, like I said, this will be our first try at this. So we're definitely looking for feedback from council members to see how that is once we go through that program in a couple weeks. And then initiative 3, policies and procedures. We're working with department heads on creating new policies and procedures, create a organization-wide unified policy book. One of the issues I think many council members are aware of is we have inconsistent policies, or we have policies all over the place and it's hard to find them. So we're working to consolidate all policies into one area and just have a City of Sheboygan policy manual that incorporates everything, not just personnel or fiscal, but combine them all into one spot and manage them in one area. See, and then continue to find efficiencies and work with department heads on establishing their goals and helping them to reach them. Infrastructure, IT is obviously one area that we're really trying to make a significant amount of changes in. The rollout of Office 365 is still ongoing. IT has been great in kind of making that a priority for their department and getting that out. So hopefully we'll be getting you all off of Chromebooks and getting you onto new laptops very soon. So that you'll also be able to function a lot differently than you do now. So yes, I'm very aware of how frustrated everyone is with that. So we're doing everything we can to get that fixed. And then we've got some audits that are going to be coming in to help develop some policy based around some practices that we think are outdated, and make sure that we're in compliance with state and federal laws. Updating, consolidating, upgrading operating system. We know we've looking at a number of different things. as a part of this process. So obviously our domains, consolidating our domains. Right now we've got numerous across the city, so we're gonna look at trying to consolidate them as much as possible. Looking at some upgrades to expand our ERP system, which is currently Munis, and we do still have some departments operating off the AS400. So we're looking at some solutions to get that system put to rest. I know that's something the city's been working on for 5 to 7 years, so we will get that done yet this year. Community improvement projects, initiative number 2, play a key role in collaboration with management and with the public. Obviously, our main big projects that we have ongoing are the Marina Waterfront Project, the pedestrian bridge, Uptown Parklet, and then the Fountain Park are all kind of our bigger public projects that we're working on, absent street projects and things like that. So quarterly meetings with Alliant, establishing and overlaying Parks and Recreation Master Plan for the current and future uses of green spaces. So those are all things that we're working through. Collaboratively develop and establish a capital improvement plan to address upcoming upgrades and renovations as needed. So really working with departments to make sure that they've got everything in the plan, so we're not modifying it mid-year, and we're more consistent in our budgeting. And then work with department heads to establish project upgrade plans. So looking not just at a 5-year window, but looking at life cycle replacement, and giving more consistency to our budgeting process. Community engagement, administrator outreach program. Right now, we currently do have some good practices in place, and we will continue those and try to grow on them. We do have monthly meetings with county leadership, school district leadership. We're looking at setting up some public outreach days to have direct dialogue with the public. Quarterly meetings with local community resources, Healthy Sheboygan, and then obviously meeting with our neighborhood associations periodically to make sure that we're staying connected and addressing the issues or concerns as they come up with those groups. Employer interviews, site tours. So we just did another one at 8 o'clock this morning with a local group. So we've been getting great feedback. Both the mayor, myself, and Diane have been going around meeting with employers and kind of learning specifically what they're looking for, what are issues that they're facing, what they're kind of seeing in the existing workplace, where they intend to go with their business in the future. It's been tremendous feedback. Housing is consistently the #1 issue we're hearing. Different types, different issues, but collectively, housing is always the consistent theme right now, which we're understanding of that. So working to address that. And then some of the other feedback that we're getting is we're getting a lot of feedback about activities outside of work, whether it be cultural or sports related, to keep employees active and interested in the community. And then probably the most consistent that we've heard so far is just that the activities in the wintertime. Summertime's great, wintertime's really tough. So I think everybody's kind of aware of that. So we're working on trying to find different ways to address that and work with businesses to find those solutions. And then city administrator will be accessible department to all city departments and to the public, advocate for consistent input, public input on master plan projects involving city and public spaces. So, you know, trying to foster public engagement as much as possible. And then emergency response. This one I hadn't really had too much discussion with council members on, but it was something we identified internally. Not having set procedures, is my understanding. Years ago, there used to be a committee that was set up, and that was kind of taken away, and the policies really didn't fall back in. Obviously, we fall, most of our departments utilize NIMS, National Incident Management Command System, and we just don't have policy and practices or procedures in place to actively operate in that manner. So we're looking at reestablishing some of those practices and policies, and those will be forthcoming, and then ultimately setting up a committee and managing events in that manner. So just kind of talking through the 3 initiatives that we have there. That's all I have.
All right, thank you, Administrator Bradley. Any questions for the administrator? Alder Bellinger?
Thank you for this. This is very helpful, especially as a new alderman. So it's very thorough. I've got one question and one kind of observation. My question would be, what is the current city fiscal rating?
AA minus? AA2, or with Moody's, AA2.
Okay. And then on the economic development portion, I get that the housing and the downtown are priorities, but we have an empty industrial park on the south side, and that to not even be mentioned in this is kind of alarming to me, that wouldn't be like a primary focus as well. So that's just an observation.
That's a very good observation. We have a tremendous investment out there. There is a lot of interest out there, but as far as dedicating staff time to filling that, when we are struggling to fill jobs, and a lot of what we're finding is that those jobs, and that's why we're talking to our companies to try understanding, why do you have, we've got 3,000 job openings. We know of a lot more coming to the area. So we're trying to understand, what are those struggles, and housing is that number one message that we're getting. So from the city's perspective, if we're dedicating staff to finding those businesses and not necessarily dedicating that time to housing, that we're ultimately just hurting our existing businesses by bringing more in and incentivizing the use of that land. Once we are meeting that demand, definitely that'll be a top priority. But at the same time, as companies come and a lot of these discussions are turning into potentially building new facilities here, expanding here. So our local businesses are really kind of feeding that interest now without actively spending money and a whole lot of staff time on that. So we are actively working on that. There's a number of businesses that are looking at that or have proposals that are being considered for that, but it's not something we're dedicating a lot of staff time right now to. And that's why.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions? Alder Perella?
First of all, thank you, because I'm definitely very informative. You were able to also be fast enough, but reflecting all the crucial aspects of the plan, and I do approve. I do applaud many of the initiatives, and I'm very happy that you were able to incorporate those. Many of those in the plan. I have just one observation that I want to share now, and then we can perhaps readdress. The difficulty that I experience sometimes, and especially as 3 years ago when I started in my position, my role here, is that the lack of context when coming to the financials of the city. And with that, I mean having a historical perspective of where the city has been and how it has been developed. And I wish that in presentation like this one, or perhaps we can find other opportunities, we had that type of prospective offered. In other words, for example, look at the city and that would be a good situation would be also the budget season. In other words, look at the city, the way that it has been, the financial trend of the city in the last 10 years, for example, and how we are addressing to identify together possible red flags and see how we are addressing those, because it's easier to lose track and perspective of where we are going as a city on the long run. And so the best way, in my view, is to look back and see a trend, a long-term trend. So in a plan like this, I would love to see some of those indicators over years brought to light.
Very good observation. Caitlin and I been having conversations. One of the things we're talking about is ICMA has a really good white paper on transparent organizations. And one of them is, understanding and helping employees understand like benchmarking what wages are going to be. So we have a benchmark that we're going to be following. Another one is having an ERP system that is, you can easily data mine to get information like that out. And that's one place we're not at yet. So that's kind of all part of that overall process of getting to where we can get financial information out in a easily digestible manner for the public and for staff. I mean, because at the end of the day, we work with the data every day and it's hard to break it down to where it's easily understandable. And that's where, using the ERP system and using it to where it's more flexible to where we can get that data out and it's more understandable for the public and for council. Because it's
Thank you.
intimidating. It's $125 million budget with, several hundred pages of operational plans and capital plans. It's hard to get it to where it's digestible and, for us building that as opposed to getting it out of a system that's a lot easier for you to understand and for us to explain to that level.
All right. Thank you, Administrator Bradley.
Thank you.
All right, next we have a couple of hearings. We'll open up hearing item number 8. Hearing 1/24/25 pursuant to letters sent and published by the city clerk allowing interested persons to be heard regarding change in land use classification for property located at 929 Greenfield Avenue, including parcels numbers 5928132176-1, 5928132176-2, and 5928132176-3 from Class Suburban Residential to Class Suburban Residential with a PUD overlay classification. Anyone wishing to be heard on this item? Anyone wishing to be heard? Final call, anyone wishing to be heard? Seeing none. Alder Decker, is there a motion to close the hearing?
I move to close the hearing.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor of closing the hearing, state aye.
Aye.
Any objections? All right, that hearing is closed. All right, next hearing, item 9, hearing number 2/24/25, allowing interested persons and opportunities to be heard relative to the proposed general development plan submitted by Abdicus Architects to construct a new addition to Sheboygan Christian School located at 929 Greenfield Avenue. Anyone wishing to be heard on this item? Anyone wishing to be heard? Final call, anyone wishing to be heard? Seeing none, Alder Decker.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to close the hearing.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor of closing the hearing, state aye.
Aye.
Any objections? The hearing is closed. Thank you. Next, items 11 through 14, Alder Decker, the consent agenda.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to receive and file all ROs, receive all RCs, and adopt all resolutions and ordinances.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on any items on the consent agenda? All right, seeing none, this will be a roll call vote.
Alderperson Feldy. There are 10 ayes.
All right, items are approved. Next, report of officers, items 15 through 19 will be referred to their respective committees. Next, under resolutions, resolution number 1/24/25 by Alderpersons Decker requesting the mayor to reactivate various special committees for the 24-25 council year. Alder Decker.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to adopt the resolution.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing no cues, all those in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, that's approved. Next, resolution number 9/24/25 by Alderpersons Mitchell and Ramey approving the general development plan submitted by Abacus Architectures for construction of an addition to Sheboygan Christian School on the aforementioned parcel numbers with a planned unit development zone. Alder Mitchell.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to adopt the resolution.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on this item? All right, seeing none, this will be a roll call vote.
There are 10 ayes.
All right, that's approved. 22, resolution number 3/24/25 by Alderpersons Decker and Rust authorizing expenditure of funds received as part of the criminal justice law enforcement drug trafficking response grant solicitation. Alder Decker.
Thank you, Mayor. I ask to suspend the rules.
Any objections? Seeing none, please proceed with your motion.
I move to adopt the resolution.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Alder Bellinger?
I just want to know why we're suspending the rules.
Police Chief?
Sure. We applied for a grant. We received a grant in the amount of $43,000, and in order to meet the terms of the grant, we have to sign it within 2 weeks and return it.
Thank you.
All right. Any other discussion on this item? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Alderperson Feldy, oh, there are 10 ayes.
All right, that's approved. Next, item 23, resolution number 102425 by Alderpersons Decker and Ramey, amending the marina and riverfront slips fee schedule. Alder Decker.
Thank you, Mayor. I ask to suspend the rules.
Any objections? Seeing none, please proceed with your motion.
I move to adopt the resolution.
Moved in, seconded. Any discussion on this item? Alder Bellinger.
I would like to know why we're suspending the rules for this as well.
Marina manager or Aaron, who wants this? Aaron?
Speak.
Okay.
With the new staff that were just hired here in March, they had a number of immediate operational needs, including site repairs, implementing the gas system, and also identifying how to move the boats from the storage area into the marina, which was all done previously by the P3, excuse me, F3. And after all of those were incorporated, then staff identified some improvements that could be made as far as slip fees, and that's what's being submitted now. And the reason why we're submitting it now is typically transient slips are filled in June. And in order to get this adopted and move forward with these slip fees in June, we're asking to suspend. That's why.
Thank you.
All right. Additional comments on this item? All right, seeing none, this will be a roll call vote.
There are 10 ayes.
That's approved. All right, items 24 through 34 will be referred to their respective committees. Matters laid over, item 35, RO number 137-2324 by the City Plan Commission, to whom was referred a direct referral, General Ordinance number 43-2324 by Alderpersons Mitchell, and direct referral, RO number 133-2324 by City Clerk, amending the City of Sheboygan official zoning map of the, Sheboygan zoning ordinance to change the use district classification for property located at around 929 Greenfield Avenue, including the aforementioned postal numbers from Class Suburban Residential SR5 to Class Suburban Residential with a PUD overlay classification. Alder Mitchell.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to receive the arrows and adopt the ordinance.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion on this item. Seeing none, this will be a roll call vote.
There are 10 ayes.
All right, that's approved. All right, Alder Decker, we've exhausted the agenda.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to adjourn.
All those in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
We're adjourned at 6:44. Thanks, everyone.